Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. What is happening? So good to see you this morning. So glad you're here. Thank you for joining us on Instagram. Hey, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Monday Mindset Movement. Welcome to the show. I'm your buddy, your friend, Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me. Yes, we are here. Monday Mindset Movement, 15 to 20 minutes, designed to get you elevated, motivated, and inspired for your week. So glad that y'all are here this morning. David, the digital creator, thank you for being here. Fee to you too. Yes, to you too. I see you on Instagram. All right. Tawa Food, so glad that you're here. Johnson, so glad that you're here. People on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, so glad that you're here this morning. Glad that you are here. My gosh, we're about to get started with the Monday Mindset Movement. So here is my question. Here is my question for you this morning. Have you ever said to yourself, I can't do that? Or how about, oh no, that's not happening. Or that's impossible. Have you ever mentioned or uttered any of those words? Well, we're going to talk about those this morning. Before we jump on in to the show this morning, do me a favor. If you are a real estate pro, I want to talk to you about the upcoming video story bootcamp. So do me a favor. If you're interested in that, you want to get connected, text VSB to 240-557-8679. That's text VSB, as in Video Story Bootcamp, to 240-557-8679. And also, if you want to know when we're going live, do me a favor, text Go Live to that same number, 240-557-8679. Yeah, we're about to get started with this thing this morning. Here we go. Come on, let's do it. Yeah, welcome to the show. So glad that y'all are here. Nathalie Gregg, my friend, thank you for joining us. KK Photograph, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Pink City 87 Official, I'm glad that you're in the Heezy. So glad that you're here this morning. Johnson, Judith Schneidman, I'm so glad that you're here on YouTube hanging out with us this morning. Jerry S., so glad that you're here this morning. Oh my gosh, I got somebody on Twitch this morning. So glad that y'all are here this morning. My goodness. Yes. Bam. Yeah, I just wanted a little bit of an extra groove this morning. Welcome to the Monday Mindset Movement. 15 minutes of elevation, motivation, and inspiration designed to get you rocking and rolling throughout your week. I think I have a half a face on Instagram. Let me slide over just a little bit. All right, good deal. All right. But listen, y'all, let's jump on in this morning and talk a little bit about it. Our topic this morning is limiting beliefs. Yes, limiting beliefs. I had not actually ever heard that term until I hired my very first business coach. This was about 2011 or so. Up to that point, I got the concept, I got the idea, but I hadn't heard the term limiting beliefs. And if you're thinking about it, if you're not sure what it is, it's really about the boundaries or the limits that we put on ourselves for the tasks or the achievements or the wild success that we're built to achieve. And we put these limits on ourselves. So let's talk about that for a second. How many of you have said to yourselves, I can't do this, or that's impossible? Go ahead and type me in the chat if you have ever said that's impossible, or I can't do this, or that doesn't make sense, or that'll never happen. If you've ever uttered those words. Okay. And if you're a human being, you probably have at some point. Not many of us have grown up from birth being super positive and optimistic. All right. It's a learned behavior. Yeah. Some of us learn it quicker than others. Hey, Ida Kamrara, good to see you this morning. Right. It's something that is learned. Some of us learn it quicker than others. But all of us have walked through something where we either think it in our mind or we say out loud, I can't do that, or that's impossible, or that'll never happen, or worse, that'll never happen for me. Right? So I want to share with you really quickly. If you've never heard this story before, I'm not going to go into it in detail, but I want you to look it up. How many of you have heard the name Roger Bannister before? Roger Bannister, if you've never heard the name before, Sir Roger Bannister is the person credited with achieving the first 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister is the person credited with breaking the 4-minute barrier in running the mile. Now, up to the point that he broke it in 1954, it was thought to be impossible. When people mentioned it, they said, nope, that'll never happen. That's not going to happen. That's impossible. And I'm not going to go into detail about the story because I want you to look up the details. You can Google this, right? But I do want to walk through a few interesting points about this story. Up to this point, it hadn't happened before. And so it was thought of as being impossible. And here's the point I want to make inside of that. When we have no reference point for something, when we see that something has been tried and has not happened, whether that's outside of ourselves or within ourselves, whether that's internally or externally, we often begin to say that can't happen or that's impossible. And I want you to think about all the things that you take for granted now in life. I want you to think about all the things that you take for granted now in life, all of the technologies, all of the things that you do, all of the shows that you watch, everything that you do right now in life at some point was thought of as impossible. The fact that you're seeing me on a screen through your phone or through your computer or wherever you are, that wasn't thought of as possible at some point. The fact that you can talk to somebody on a little device miles away, at one point, that was thought of as impossible. The fact that you can go from one side of the country to the next in a matter of a few hours, at some point, that was thought of as impossible. You remember when the first computers were built? The first computers took up an entire room. And can you imagine that from the size of a room? And when I talk about a room, I'm not talking about just a small room like maybe my office space here. I'm talking about a bedroom. Right? Or larger than a bedroom. And now you can carry much more than that type of computing power in your pocket. So Roger Bannister, when he first started to run, a 4-minute mile was a pipe dream. People thought that it was impossible. And because they thought it was impossible because it hadn't been done before. And here's the other thing. Second point that I want to bring out. Scientists, up to that point, thought that the heart and lungs couldn't supply enough oxygen to the muscles fast enough. Here's the thing. Here's what I want to bring out about that. When people think that something is impossible, I'll say that again. I want to get this right. When people think that something is impossible, oftentimes they will find proof for that thing. When people think something is impossible, they will often seek proof that that thing can't be done. Scientists thought that the heart and lungs couldn't supply oxygen to the lungs or the muscles fast enough. Some scientists even said that the heart would explode if the body was pushed to that limit. I want you to think about this. Sometimes when you think things are impossible, or when your friends or the people around you say something is impossible, people often create stories about why that thing should not be done. So 2 things. Number 1, people said it hadn't been done before, therefore it wasn't possible. Second thing, people said the scientists proved or said that the heart and lungs couldn't supply the oxygen fast enough. They created this grandiose story. And then the third thing that I want you all to notice in the story is this. Roger Bannister broke this record in 1954. He broke the 4-minute mile, 3 minutes and 59 seconds, right? 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. Within 2 months of them breaking the record, of him breaking this record, Roger Bannister and another gentleman broke the record again. So once this impossibility had been made possible, once this impossibility had been achieved, right, it became possible, so much so that very shortly after that, it was broken again. Man, I want y'all to think about this. This is exciting to me, and I want you to understand that why this is exciting. It's exciting to me because all of the times that we've said it can't be done, all of the times that we've said it's impossible, all of the times that we said this ain't happening, there's something outside of ourselves that exists. There's a possibility that exists outside of us. So let's go back to Roger Bannister for a second, okay? He's got this goal of 4 minutes. He created this ambitious goal, this hairy goal. This goal that people were like, okay, yeah, you're going to die if that happens. He created this large goal, okay? And then here's the second thing that he did. The second thing that he did was he created a plan to reach the goal. He didn't just say, I want to do this, and just said, okay, yep, I hope it's going to happen. He created a training plan to achieve that 4-minute mile. And here's why I want you to understand this. It's one thing in business to say, I want to create $1 million, or I want to have revenue of $1 million. It's another thing to create a plan to achieve $83,333 per month. Oh yeah, right? Some of you have never even done that breakdown before. Seems a little bit more manageable when you break it down to another number. Okay, let's break it down just a little bit further. 83,333 per month. If you break that down, divide that by 30 days, that's $2,777 per day. $2,777 per day. Yep, still might seem a little bit high for some people, but it seems a little bit more achievable. Can I create a plan to achieve or earn $2,777 in a day? Okay, let's break that down just a little bit further. What if I broke that down to a day? Let's say each day has 24 hours and I decide that I'm going to sleep for 8. That leaves 16, okay? 2777 divided by 16 is $173 per hour. Is that possible? You see how this works? The more that we think something is impossible, the more that we chunk it, the more that we break it down, the more that we look at it in smaller bite-sized elements, the more possible it looks. And so some of the things that we take for granted weren't because we had so many fantastic, brilliant people. Yeah, the people that achieve these technologies are smart, are brilliant, are focused. But one of the things that they had in common is that they're able to think about things in smaller elements. Henry Ford was able to think about smaller elements of an engine and what it would take to create this larger result of driving a vehicle. Okay? Orville and Henry Wright, same deal. Alexander Graham Bell, same deal, was able to think about the electrical pulses that it would take to achieve the result of transmitting sound or wave vibrations, energy over tens, hundreds, thousands of miles. What about you? What about your goals? What about the things that are happening in your life? What about the things that you think are impossible? Is it possible to think about them on a micro level so that you can then begin to take one small step at a time? Nate Paris, good to see you this morning. So glad to see you this morning. All right, so I want to go back through some of these points. So Roger Bannister created an ambitious goal. Number one, he created a plan to achieve that goal. And then the third thing that he did was he surrounded himself with a team of fellow athletes, coaches, and believers. A big part of the reason why a lot of us think some things are impossible is because we've surrounded ourselves with people who think the same. I think it's impossible. And so I surround myself with other people who think it's impossible. I surround myself with people who make me comfortable. I want you to look at your circle. Is your circle a circle of discomfort? Is your circle, is your group of people, are the people who surround you and support you, people who push you higher, people who challenge you to do things that were previously thought impossible? One of the things that I do when I'm looking to achieve a greater goal is I don't say that I'm going to achieve this goal only. I decide to look for other people who are either on their way or decide or are actively pursuing goals and say, hey, listen, let's do this together. I just did this recently. I have a goal of setting my training company into a new space. And that means we have to reach a certain revenue goal. And in order to do that, I find other people who are looking to do this same thing. And that becomes a circle. What's your circle? What does your circle look like? Jim Rohn's famous for saying you are the average of the 5 people closest to you, right? So what's your average? Can I up my average? So Roger Bannister created a goal. He created a plan towards a goal. He surrounded himself with athletes, fellow athletes, coaches, and believers. And the fourth thing that he did was when he failed, he learned from it and he continued on towards impossible. So he cataloged what were the failures and how he could adjust those failures. Man, are you cataloging your failures, or are you just simply being discouraged by them and trying to forget them? What are you doing with your failures? There's a book that is listed in the caption or in the description for this video. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And one of the things that he says in the book, there's a quote that I love. It says, "In my life, I've discovered that if I cling to the notion that something's not possible, I'm arguing in favor of limitation. And if I argue for my limitations, I get to keep them." Wow. Right? If I continue to repeat limitations, if I continue to lean into limitations, I get to keep them. I remember my very first business coach that I heard about 2012, George Watson. Hey, Coach George, how you doing? He was the one that first exposed me or allowed me to get connected with that term limiting beliefs. And one of the things that he shared was, he said that we all have limiting beliefs because our natural instinct is to avoid pain and discomfort. Every situation that seems like it might cause pain or discomfort causes us to naturally recoil and seek safety. And if I look back into this book, The Big Leap, here, there's a quote that speaks to this, and it speaks to what we do because of this. He says, each of us has an inner thermostat setting that determines how much love, success, and creativity we allow ourselves to enjoy. And when we exceed our inner thermostat setting, we will often do something to sabotage ourselves, causing us to drop back into the old familiar zone where we feel secure. I can't tell you how many stories of people there are that because they were comfortable with a certain thing, when they achieved wild success, they sabotaged themselves and ended up back right where they were. I remember in the late 80s, watching on TV, growing up in New York City, watching on TV, these people who won the lottery. Millions of dollars they won. And they were pictured driving around in New York City, sitting up, coming out of the sunroof or the moonroof of limos. And then years after that, became broke again. Right? Because they did things, or they acted in a way that sabotaged their success and got them back to the situations where they felt comfortable or secure. So I want you to ask yourself, are you comfortable or secure? Are you sabotaging your success? Are you hiding from pain or discomfort? So let's talk real quick before we jump off of here. How to beat limiting beliefs. Well, number one step, awareness. Recognizing your natural desire and recognizing that you are built for more. Being aware of your natural instinct towards this, how your natural instinct to avoid discomfort, and then recognizing that you're built for more. Second thing that I want you to do to beat limiting beliefs. I'm getting excited, so I'm repeating my words. The second thing that I want you to do to beat limiting beliefs is keep track of your personal records. Keep track of your personal records, whether that's going to the gym or whether that's a streak of writing in your journal, whether that's a streak of putting things in your planner, whether it's a streak of writing down how many things you're grateful for each day, whether it's a streak of telling your wife or your husband or your kids how proud of them you are each day or how much you love them, whether or not it's a streak of something that you've achieved at work. Write down or keep track of your personal records. Because here's the thing, each record represents something that you had not previously done or believed you could have accomplished. Each record represents something you had not done before or thought that you could have achieved. Be aware, keep track of your personal records. And number 3, surround yourself with those who seek more of themselves and also from you. Let's leave today with some action steps. I want you to, number 1, get a piece of paper, write down the thing that challenges you the most right now, and then schedule 10 minutes on your calendar to reverse engineer that challenge. What would need to happen in order to beat that challenge and achieve the goal that you set? Third thing, last thing, call someone, text them about it. Tell them about it. Let them know what's challenging you and what your plan is to defeat that challenge. Sustained success doesn't happen solo. It happens in community. Hey, y'all, and that's why we do this. We have the Monday Mindset Movement. If you want to be a part of the community, if you want to be a part of the Monday Mindset Movement community, we're getting this thing built up. Join us. Go to MondayMindsetMovement.com and join us in that group. Today is Monday, and we want to shift your mindset to a place of growth. But it doesn't just start and stop on Monday. We want to encourage you to take your Monday mindset into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Be curious. Make a choice. Move. Start a movement. Be a movement. Join me next week, Monday, on the Monday Mindset Movement, 8 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and maybe even Twitch. Hey, y'all, I just want to end with this one last thing. Check this out. Fear is excitement without the breath. See y'all next time on the Monday Mindset Movement. Peace.